great. Go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. First thing on the agenda is review approval of minutes. Once again, apologies for getting them out to sort of the late hour, but yeah. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to review what I had sent out just a few minutes ago, an hour ago, I guess.
I have not. I would open them right now.
I was able to review, and they matched my notes, especially because so much was in the executive session.
Yeah, no changes from my side either, Matt. Look good.
Looking good.
Yeah, agree.
Okay. Good. I move that we not make this motion to accept.
Seconded.
Joe seconded. And let's go around the room to approve. Yash.
Yeah. Aye.
Angela.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Orla.
Aye.
And likewise, aye. Yes. Okay, thank you. Obviously, Jay is not here. Let me quickly pull up the most recent, last month, we've had any feedback from people on this town websites. 1 second. I definitely need to okay, let's take a look at responses. Okay, no, we have not had any more responses. So everybody loves it. So honestly, this is a good thing. Like early this year, when we made updates to the website, there's a lot of concerns, and rightly so, there were issues, but it seems to have died down fairly quickly. So for upgrading from one version of Civic Plus to another version of Civic Plus, and all within 2 months, not having any feedback, I think that's a success.
Agree. And I haven't spent a lot of time on the town website. I need to do that. Like, are people leveraging it? Like, I go to find out if the transfer station is open or not. So has there been talk about like even how the internal departments could use it more for people to self-serve?
That's a great question. It's a great set of questions, actually. So first of all, are people leveraging it? Jay has, I need to find time with Jay, and this is on my side. He's offered since our last meeting, or even before the last meeting, to walk through Google Analytics. He has Google Analytics set up. I definitely want to do that to see like what does it really tell us. I've been a strong proponent of getting something in like a heap or a Pendo that can actually do user journeys. But we don't want to necessarily budget for it until we verify that Google Analytics won't be good enough. I also found out that Pendo actually has a free version up to 500 visitors per month. Maybe we don't have more than 500 visitors per month, and it will be perfectly fine, but it's full featured. So yeah, that's a great question. Are people actually using it, and what are they using? And so
it did come up in the town survey, Matt. I mean, that was what originally led us to request the ARPA funding, is that we heard from a lot of citizens that they had issues with the old website. So that's what led to the project being started. And part of the issue with the old website was that it was a very centrally managed system. So people couldn't actually, town departments couldn't update their own files. They had to go through central administrators. It was very convoluted, had a lot of overhead. And I can share with you, we have a lot of old documentation that we shared at that time, but there was a whole set of documents that talked about like what were the benefits of moving to this new version of Civic Plus. And certainly being able to do better administration from a department level was one of those things.
Gotcha. And I was just wondering more to say, is there an opportunity for us to market it more now? Because if you were like me and went on to the old one, you were probably like, oh, this isn't great, and haven't gone back since. So like, I wonder if people even know it's better.
Yeah. We did some marketing at the town meeting, but I think
Right.
there's always opportunities to help people understand more about what's out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would be the analytics which will be telling us more about like which are the sections, and I from a very offhand I can say that it will be more about the transfer station information, or perhaps the library or some events, that those are our hot spots and on the website. But yeah, maybe analytics tells us a bit more.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
This is a this is an area that I think will be perpetual on our discussion, because Orla, as you mentioned, you're leading to, I think there's a lot of functionality within Civic Plus that's not being leveraged, both by the individual departments, etc. So the question is, what do we / department / J need to do to unlock those capabilities? Basically, start leveraging them.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the citizens. What functionality, especially the new capabilities website, is there to allow for more citizen engagement? Because that was the thing we heard loud and clear. The citizens wanted more engagement. Now, what exactly does more engagement look like? I'm sure there's lots of definitions, but in general, we think about, well, there needs to be more conversation and two-way communication, not just publishing something central from the ivory tower, but allow for feedback and allow for questions and responses and so forth. And I don't get the sense we've made significant strides there yet, but I think hopefully the new website has the capabilities that we haven't used, but we should.
I don't think it's a capability issue. I think it's, to do that, you really need content, community owners, and a whole structure of people that are going to respond. And, you know, that's the piece that I think would be a little bit of a bigger lift, but we could certainly look at doing that if the departments were up for it and the committees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
if it's something, and I guess it depends on our roadmap and where we think this falls in the order of priority, but if we think it's something higher, then I'm more than happy to engage on this. And currently trying to get people to use our intranet we just rolled out, so it's near and dear to me right now. So yeah, depending on where priorities are, happy to spend more time on this one if it's helpful.
And has there been any thought of like the transfer station renewals to be made through the website rather than
driving over?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, this
has been
is
a sore point. I think we have discussed it multiple times, but
yeah. we have, and we received a quote for some software. This is the same, point of sale software that allow people to purchase one-day passes and to dispose of a couch or a CRT, old DV. And the answer was our Bill, our new director of public works, decided that at least for this year, he's still getting a feel for things. He didn't want to make any changes, and he wants a place we plan for budgeting that next year. So,
as in this coming year budget, or
no,
12 months
the
out?
subsequent
fiscal year 26.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we're planning for fiscal year 25, which starts in July of 2024, and
so that will be 18 months away before
yes,
we even start doing something.
Yes.
Okay.
As a citizen, I'd prefer if we had something yesterday, but it's in his hands, and he basically recognizes that this type of software would make changes for his staff, and he wants to build trust and make methodical changes over time. And especially for, by the way, this is the same thing we'll see with other departments. The change, Southborough and many municipalities have stayed stagnant for so long. There's no muscle memory to be able to react to change or incorporate technology and processes. It's going to be the first change will be very significant.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. But these are all good thoughts, and yeah, especially moving towards digitized workflows. Like the Board of Health, I think, as I mentioned in a previous meeting, dealing with all these paper-based. Now, they say they use email and so forth, but it's still paper-based, effectively, and processing, the workflows for processing requests. This is all stuff I'd like to move to either Civic Plus or some other request management system, permitting system, tracking system with a proper workflow. And email doesn't count for workflow. Yeah, great questions. And so maybe sometime in this next year, early this next year, we can start thinking about, now that we have new software in place, it's running, we have the major hiccups worked out. Now let's start to explore using it for capabilities we hadn't been using it before.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on the town?
Only other question, which is maybe directly could be tied to this, was in the last minutes we talked about the town survey status, not sent yet, still drafting. Can you just remind me what the survey was going to be about?
Yes. Yeah. So this is an annual survey. Well, I wanted to be an annual survey, but I'm thinking we basically didn't get one out in 2023.
Yeah.
Is through a SurveyMonkey account that's run by the MTC. And I had originally drafted the survey copying a survey for citizen satisfaction across all departments, all major departments. And I basically copied a survey instrument that was created by survey designers for other municipalities.
Yeah.
Heavily used. So basically, looks like Ryan's intendedly promote him. Great. So that's what we've been going off of, and our goal is to collect responses and then trend over time. We have a couple of volunteer data scientists in town who have helped in the past analyze the results, especially the free-form sentiment analysis. I always like to include sort of what are the most recent hot topics that would be useful for town meetings. So right now I'm targeting basically January, getting it out at the beginning of January and getting results by the end of January. It's on me. I've been delayed by a couple of months just finding time, but I really want to include the discussion around MBTA communities because that's the hot topic.
Okay.
And it's potentially one of the most, I shouldn't say contentious, but lively discussion at town meeting. Like, where should we vote for these, these zoning changes?
Gotcha. So this survey is broader than just technology. It's more.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
I'll send you a copy of the previous one. But there is a section specifically for technology and how people like to engage and so forth.
Yeah, because I was wondering whether that would allow us to kind of pull out, what we were talking about in the prior discussion to say, well, how do people really want to engage digitally? And is it really the transfer station pass or is it something else or whatever that would then help us encourage?
Great thoughts. So I'll send you a copy, and Orla, if you have any thoughts or comments, let me know.
Okay,
absolutely. Cool. Love to get improve on how to improve the survey before it's sent out. I just barely. So let's move on. We'll come back to the survey because I have some thoughts on that. That's specifically related to DPW. Jay's in here, but last we discussed on the auto failover secondary ISP, I think was that on waiting for a configuration? Is that correct?
Yeah, last update was regarding the equipment configuration to install. The line is in, but actually setting things up to do so was in process.
Okay. Do you know what the next steps are for that?
I didn't get an update after that last.
Okay. Let me take notes here.
Similarly,
Okay.
I don't have any other update regarding the managed service provider, other than you probably have more info.
Don't have any updates on. Does anybody have any updates on managed service provider? No. Okay.
I saw Joe's message about Ryan. What's the
Yeah.
protocol for adding people?
I've attempted to promote him to panelist. He has to respond though.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So he has to accept. So Ryan, if you're there, feel free to. There we go. All right. Thanks for joining, Ryan. All right. So updates. Before we get to the school tech updates on outreach to individual departments, fire and assessors. Can't remember, is that Yash or you, Joe? You, Joe? Okay, you, Yash. Okay.
So I'll go from the assessor side first. This is the shorter kind of an update here. So assessors, they have switched to the new Patriot software, and it is currently executing, and it is in their AP5 version that they want. The old system is, when I met them, it was around Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving. So the old system is going to go down in December. So from January onwards and everything, we will be completely onto the new system. It is the way it is configured. It is that it connects with our GIS. So our Patriot is actually on-prem, and it is charging us 6K annual licensing. That's what we know of. And the discussion that we did, I think it was in Jay's budget also, that if we go to cloud with that, then it will be a 6K annual license plus a 6K kind of a maintenance scenario in cloud. So it kind of ends up costing us double than on-prem if we are there. But again, so it's a discussion whether we want to go completely there, and Patriot is not forcing us, that it's not like a cloud or bust kind of a mode at that point. So I think Paul was fine with getting to FY27 that we did have a plan for, and in Jay's I'll say the tenure thing that we have, like staged cloud roadmap that we have. So that's there.
But the question on the Patriot, and for fiscal year 27, we're sort of anticipating, is it accurate to say that we're anticipating that by then Patriot software will have a SaaS version?
They're testing a beta for SaaS. They're testing a beta already. So they will have it by that time, but they are currently they are not like forcing us to like try it out or something like that.
Sure. So I assume by fiscal year 27, that's a couple years out.
Because there is one more thing, that we bought new servers for the system, for the on-prem Patriot system in 22. So those are brand new servers that are sitting in, and it doesn't even give us 4 or 5 years on the system that we installed before we take everything to cloud, unless we find something that we can repurpose those blades for something else. Then perhaps we can try and pull in the Patriot scenario. But at this point, I do not feel that there is like a extreme push from the assessors department for getting there, because people are more used to the entire layout of the software, and unless it is going to be the same mechanics and the same semantics as that of the current on-prem thing, it is it's going well. I feel the general scenario here is that, hey, why are we going to be paying 6K extra licensing, extra cloud fee when we can just we are paying what we are paying. So we staged it to 2027, but it's again, how do we want to bring it in?
By fiscal year 2027, that will be 5-year, that will be the end of the 5-year of our current equipment. And we just barely paid for our on-prem equipment for the tune of 80 to 90K.
Yes.
And it was very clear at that time. In fact, it was the head of the advisory, who is now on our select board, Mrs. Cook. She asked flat out, can we verify that by the end of these 5 years, 2027, 2028, we will not have to fork out another, for on-prem, because there's this general sentiment that we don't want to continue maintaining on-prem servers for a variety of reasons.
At that point, I think it would be prudent that we move to the SaaS, and that SaaS would obviously be out of beta by that time. It would release more versions. So I think in a coming year or two, the thought process is that some neighboring towns might also go on to the SaaS model for Patriot, and if that is happening, then we can just take an experience survey out of them and then kind of plan it that way.
Yeah, sounds good.
Apart from that, I think they already have a new GIS vendor, and that's already SaaS based.
Who is that?
CAI Tech.
Or who is it?
CAI Tech. That's the name of the company. That's the GIS vendor that they're using, and they're providing them new parcel updates every year. And so the only thing is that GIS software is SaaS, and it connects to the Patriot on-prem. So that's the only kind of our tunneling that we are doing right now. But as we take the Patriot to SaaS also, it would all be solved there. So,
and CAI Tech is the one running the GIS software. Right. And how much any idea how much we're paying for that?
No, Paul, I will get back to Paul on that, because there was a question I think that was missed in that entire discussion. I need to get back on that.
Okay. Related to that, I know we've sort of divided up the various different departments. I would love to start thinking about basically unification, if possible, of GIS. Is this a thing that we want to even consider? Reason being is because DPW, well, I'll let you finish. We'll talk about DPW is using a different GIS system. And okay. I'm guessing maybe public safety is using a different GIS system. I don't know.
And are we paying separate licenses for each?
If they're different vendors, yeah.
Okay, that brings a bigger question. I think we need to cover up all the departments and perhaps then take a synopsis of what we have learned.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the assessor's thing. I'm trying to put it in the Excel format, but the fire department, I have already put it in our the template that we have. I can share that if you want. I can share my screen for that one.
Be great.
And I had a question if we would have a an internal repo like maybe sponsored under Jason's folder, where we could just drop some of these, because I figure several of them are going to be iterative with the department.
That's a great question. I'm a huge fan of online docs and so forth. The reason why Jason has so far avoided like sharing OneDrive is with committees specifically, is to avoid any deliberation, which includes collaboration outside of meetings. So it's almost like a forcing function to prevent us from collaborating outside of meetings because of open meeting law. So as such, I personally maintain a Google Share for MTC, and I've previously shared it with our former secretary, but basically I couldn't share it with more than that, because if you added multiple to it, then it's a break. I'd hope that sometime open meeting law would change to allow for this type of work, because it's like this is like basic business, digital business.
Matt, I'm trying to share the screen, but it's not allowing the host
Let
to see.
me let's make you co-host. Okay, try now.
Do let me know. See.
Okay, you can see it.
Yeah, so yeah, on our on some of the services, I think the major thing that they are looking for, at least on the FD side, is the dispatch, the computer-aided dispatch. They already have the ESO solution software that dumps the info into the fire department. It's the same tool that is being used between FD and PD at this point, and it's a more standard tool, like report generation. You can pull in data, you can provide the dashboarding and analytics of like performance and timing of service. Some interesting things that could be seen was like, hey, how many times, what was the hospital utilizations, like which hospitals did we take the emergency services to, in a month or in the last year or something of that sort. What is the apparatus use? What is the frequency? When was the last maintenance scenarios done? And regular crew scheduling and everything. So they have purchased it. There's a module-based subscription, and at this point, the fire department has the required set of modules. So no immediate need to like update anything there, or for the budget that is coming up. The scenario would be that the future technology, they want like a update to a contemporary system and have like a better common system between the FD and the PD. There are certain modules which are different at this point, and just get one big scenario that is going on there.
Dash, question, is this currently deployed, or they've just purchased it but not
No,
deployed?
it is all deployed.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
they're using it.
Fire Chief was kind enough to give me a demo of the entire thing, and
Okay.
tool also, so it is quite in place. And
Do you happen to know if this is the same software being used? Well, first of all, is this IMC specifically? Is this the IMC software, or is it different?
remember, I need to check my notes on that, but I think this is IMC.
Because IMC, I know IMC is used for a lot, for public safety, and it runs on the town servers as various different virtual machines. And that's one of the strong pushes to not move to cloud, because it's on the VMware cluster that's co-located right there in the public safety building. And I think one of my questions was, is this the same software or same version of software being used by various regional dispatch entities? I don't know for everyone who's involved in town meeting last year, there's quite a bit of debate about moving to or not moving to regional dispatch. And we as a technology group committee, we're not going to opine on whether we should or not, but I do want to make sure that if we, at least technology shouldn't prevent it from consideration. So we should be looking to leverage systems that could be compatible with regional dispatch. Joe, do you have a comment? Question?
Yeah, I don't want to step on Vash, but from the notes of previous meetings, that should be the IMC system for current, and the concern was whether or not a system called Central Square would be the upgrade path. I get a nod there, yeah, and I'll echo your commentary regarding centralization of any sort of regional dispatch. It seemed to, yeah, I don't want to lean one way or the other, but town meetings seem to vote it down rather strongly, so it may or may not be a concern. But I do believe that some of the cautious moves here were specifically to not box us out from having spent too much money on a solution that would not be compatible with that approach.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on to other questions on this. I'll just move on to the other things here. Other important services that they have are the inspectional services. I mean, they have multiple things here that are like the services for tracking and inspection of emergency calls. Today, it is the EMT reports and the RMAS, which is the record management system. So all of them, the EMT reports go to the ESO solutions, and rest of the other inspection data we need to check, because they have a SharePoint where they maintain the documentation of how it is there and scheduled, and that integration has to happen for other kind of maintenance services and the emergency inspectional services. So those SharePoint requirements have to be verified if they have everything in place or not. So that is a key requirement from the FD side. From a financial scenario in the budget, that's not something that is going to get impacted.
Quick question. So currently, are they leveraging SharePoint or not? Is that's a new?
They are. But how much is being used and how it is being tracked, and those things we did not have a perfect thing at that time when we met. So that needs to be checked. And at this point, I feel that the fire chief is in the process of there will be a new fire chief, if I'm correct, like Chief Achilles has decided to leave, if I'm correct. That was in the town meeting, or I got the notes there. So I think we'll have to reestablish another thing, maybe a few months down the line when the new chief, whenever we have an interim chief or the new chief comes in, and we have a discussion there.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize we were running SharePoint at all, or were you leveraging SharePoint at all?
Yeah. So if I know from Jay that it is not the SharePoint is for departments only at this point, and which all departments are actually using it is also a good point of our survey as to who's using it actively, because at the end of the day we are paying for it as a town and as a service, the tech. So if it can be leveraged, great. If not, then I think we can encourage people to go after it. So another thing is the alerting system. The alerting system that is connected to the CAD in the FD at this point. It was earlier on a local server, but now they have moved on to the cloud. And the town emergency system redundancy management. That's an important topic that was there for the chief. It's currently right now in the server room, but it needs a backup plan because that's the server room that is present in the fire department right now. What happens if it's inaccessible, something happens there, then we lose the town emergency system itself. That redundancy has to either be a cloud-based migration, or that we'd have there, or in some other format. So I guess that Jay is managing those servers there, but which need to be migrated. But we have to talk about creating that redundancy somewhere in cloud, or make that entire system cloud managed, so that we do have automatic like HA and redundancy set up there.
Yes. What alerting is this used for when we say alerting system?
Oh, this is the I'm saying not the alerting system. This is the town emergency system.
Gotcha. And what does that cover in terms of capabilities?
So whenever there is a broadcast scenario for the town that we need to cover an emergency, those servers get activated, and then those will be delivering to departments as well as to other source that has to go out. But if something happens to that in case of a real emergency, we do not have anything to alert anyone after that.
Okay,
So,
that's
and-
good, no problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
The
yeah,
point
continue
is
to-
that I went in and I saw the server room there, and it's like, hey, this is our town management system, so the emergency management system.
Yeah, so it does sound like it's some sort of communication or alerting system, and as Joe mentioned, some sort of reverse 911. Is it to alert residents or to alert uh, the internal employees?
Alert residents, alert the departments if they have to take any further action scenarios, if there are items that come into the place.
Okay.
So yeah, so it will be more connected to the town network as well as, and then there is an action scenario that has to happen. And I guess that all that comes under the purview of the fire chief at this point. But again, with the transition that will happen now, we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
Rest is more about the apparatus. It's more about like the two things. Like they have, the fire department has some workstations for like incident filing and data filing and all of this. Those are like 6 to 8 workstations throughout the department at this point, and they are like laptops and all also available. They think that maybe we can upgrade at least 1 or 2 every year coming in, because just to keep them cycled through in a better way. If I know from what I spoke with Jay, I think the fire chief's laptop was renewed like last year itself, and or what the year before that. So that equipment is in, but that's the workstation upgrade is something that comes under our purview. Like that, if we can budget it in for the fire department to go through the cycling of this, that's fine. Rest is more about the mobile report system, which is like they're using iPads in all of our apparatus for vehicles to get through the software itself, and kind of using on the go data collection as well as like whatever notes that they want. But those are like just 2 or 3 iPads, and that they get through the oral IT budget or the FD budget itself. So I don't feel that's coming in at this point for us. And if it's talking about 2 iPads, then it's around $1,200 to $1,800. So at this point, it's not
it's small, yeah. For the workstations one, would you mind reaching out to Jay and discussing that with him?
we had raised it last time when we discussed the budget with Jay, and there was a provision for all of the workstations, or I'll say equipment in general. And I think he had a provision for that, if I remember well. But I can bring it up with Jay again just to make sure that it is specifically accordant for the FD at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it at this point from me. Share back.
Okay. Any questions or additional comments on the fire department? Well, thank you, Yash. Thanks for your time you spent with the chief. And for some reason, I don't know if I'd heard that Chief Achilles was moving on. It's sad. He's been a good partner. Department. So, from my side, met with Bill from the new director of DPW, and we discussed two primary things. I previously met with him to think about his interests, etc. And both times I met with him, he was very keen to move towards some sort of standardized cloud-based GIS system for all of the DPW's information on the town, where water pipes are run, drain pipes, sewer pipes, what are they called? The grates where the collection basins. That was a big thing. Apparently, to meet some sort of a compliance issue, we have to start tracking how much sediment is removed out of each of the collection basins. And of course, they don't have anything. I think it'd be maybe keeping it on paper at best, but they would love to have this as being just a data point, a time overlay on top of a GIS system to say, here's the basin at this point in time, here's how much was collected. It would save them a lot of time, because right now they're blindly just going around to collection basins and just opening them up, collecting whatever's in there. If they established a history and said, oh, at this particular basin, you only remove, on average 6 inches of sediment, whereas that one you remove, 2 or 3 feet. They can skip the ones, they can reduce the frequency of going to all the basins and just focus on the ones that they need to go to. So he brought that up again. He mentioned that they're in discussions with basically a company that offers services on top of Esri. Esri, I think, is a host, or it's ESRI, and they are hoster of ArcGIS. So this is yet another GIS system in town, and he's keen to, and basically he's using a vendor that leverages Esri under the covers and exploring all sorts of possibilities of building on top of that GIS system, inclusive of snowplow routes. So right now within town, they have there's a whole map of the town with, I think, some like a printed map with some lines drawn on it for routes, and they assemble the plow drivers and they hand out the physical maps and say, go for it. Whereas this company, you could actually build it on top of GIS, and it could be much more dynamic. People can be able to see their routes within a little mobile device, and routes could be reassigned. You can see who's done which route. It's actually using software to coordinate as opposed to just phone calls and discussion. Another thing he's interested in doing, apparently, more and more so, Department of Public Works has been involved in the tracking trees on town property. And that is, for those of you who've been involved in the last few town meetings, that's been some much of a discussion issue. And this would be again, another thing they could put inside GIS. What are the trees that need to come down, and which are the ones that are healthy, and so forth? And you basically ask an arborist to create the inventory and put it within the same system. So single system, you can see overlays for. Oh, by the company he's asking to quote him out on this is the same company that is doing a survey of our roads. So it's a company that basically, from my understanding, they do an assessment of the condition of each of the roads. I think they even have some some cameras that sit on top of the vehicles. They drive through all the roads in town, assess the current condition, and they start tracking data on each road so that they can, using data analysis, decide what are the roads that are most important to pave this year versus next year, etc. And they're using Esri under the covers for that. And so he's interested in having the same company possibly give him bids for these other use cases. So, I mean, I'm strongly in favor of using GIS, but the question is, which GIS should we be using? Should we continue building out on separate GIS systems? Clearly, the assessor software, assessor's office, they have their own. Should we look at, consider some sort of powwow between DPW and the assessor's office and DPW? Because I have to imagine, and public safety. I have to imagine public safety also uses GIS to some extent. And what GIS system do they use? Do you know, Yash?
No, no.
Okay.
That was not a point of discussion, but I think I can write an email. Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, does it make sense?
Apart from DPW, public services and assessors might be using GIS. Any quick survey that we can put through, or anyone knows those?
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to have the conversation to say, what are all the town departments that make use of GIS? Building department, assessor's office, public safety, DPW. What GIS are they currently using? What are the requirements for GIS system? And if we can move towards a single system, both financially, I think it might be better, but then also for the actual data sharing, it'd be useful as well. Any comments on that? Questions?
Agree. There's a huge opportunity here, right, to streamline and save costs potentially as well.
I would think so. I think this also would take some. I mean, we're going to have to potentially sell it, meaning departments have had their own separate islands of information for forever, and moving towards a shared model and shared administration means you have to work out the roles and responsibilities. And let's say I think there are significant benefits for the town as well as the citizens.
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
Talk at all, Matt, about the license plate scanning and things like that with the transfer station, or was that in a different
last I discussed with him, he said no. He said he wants to wait for another year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's that same.
Is that validating if you have a pass type of thing?
Yeah, this is yeah, I'll find some time. We reviewed it on the previous MTC meeting with Erla, but basically I was initially reaching out to MassDOT, Department of Transportation, Massachusetts, find out who's the vendor they use for the Easy Pass. And can we just use Easy Pass tags? I mean, most everybody has them for their cars. Could we use that? And they referred me to a vendor that does work with Easy Pass and did it for some garages in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
So entry and exit from a garage, and they can do this. They could, they actually put together a quote for me for this, but they said typically Easy Pass is both RFID scanner plus a camera, and the camera does license plate detection, reads the license plate. So not necessarily everybody has Easy Pass. And if you're paying for a camera and license plate detection anyway, you might as well just go with the camera. It's cheaper and covers everybody. So they gave me a quote for that. And then around the same time, a vendor reached out to our town clerk. I don't know why, but there's a vendor that runs access control and point of sale to a variety of public works in different variety of towns, public works transfer stations in Massachusetts. And the way it works is that it's a license plate reader software. You drive in, read your license plate. You're either on an include or deny list, or more of an include list, allow list. If you drive in and you're not on the allow list, then you get flagged, and it can send an alert to somebody to say, hey, go talk to that person. They also have a point of sale, meaning iPad solution, that if somebody wants to just come in one time, the employee can mark them up. If the person wants to recycle something that is not normal, like a CRT, and they want to pay for the recycling of that, or some sort of large item that the transfer station would have to pay a lot for, they can basically just charge for that service. And Bill seemed to be, when I talked to him about this, he seemed to be interested in it. But again, taking time, because this would fundamentally change how the transfer station works. Today, it's either the annual passes, and they all start into September of a year, and you're either on the annual pass or not. If you're on the annual pass, you get all you can eat buffet. What do you want to recycle? What do you want to dispose? This would be much more of a piecemeal pricing. People could buy potentially a daily pass. People could buy a monthly pass or an annual pass. They can do it on the start on the month they want to start on, and they would be able to recycle things, that we're currently not accepting at all.
Mhm.
But yeah, Bill and I discussed, it all comes down to price. We set the price, and people want to recycle it, and we want to
Yeah.
charge it. Great. I think it's shouldn't use the word term revenue stream, but it should certainly be able to pay for itself. I think
Yeah.
people would be willing to.
Yeah, and I always like the idea that folks who are doing private haulers would then have an option for something that's complicated with a private hauler that then would help support the town.
Yeah.
So, so long answer to the question, Angela, but no, it didn't come up again because he wants to wait another year, unfortunately. But I think we should work up to now continue our discussion and get a demo for him. I'll plan on getting a demo for him in the spring, so that come this next year we put our budget together, we can get it in there. The only other thing we discussed was the survey, and specifically the DPW section of the survey. There's a page of questions about DPW, and he said he's going to review it and let me know if any concerns. They're standardized questions, and we've used previous years, and so we're hoping to do trending over time for that. So no real comments on the survey questions. Okay. Any questions? That's all we discussed about DPW. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, Jay's not here to talk about any other items on the budget or synergies with school IT. Ryan, thanks for your patience, and thanks again, Ryan O'Leary. Thanks for your patience and joining us. How are things going with school? The school, from our last discussion, you're working on preparing the budget for this next fiscal year. How's that going? Is there any discussion? Is it sort of being encroached about possibly getting things into a budget for, say, sharing of internet connections with the town?
Schools are great, and now we're waiting on contact with contract, just in terms of fiber runs, like we were last time. Still in that holding pattern.
Okay. And the for my notes, the fiber runs we're going to try to get quotes on would be to each of the schools within town. Is that correct? Within Southborough, at least. Is that right?
Precisely.
Okay. Awesome. And are there any other, apart from physical interconnects / sharing of network connections, are there any other technologies that either the town has that the school could leverage, or vice versa?
Not that I'm aware of. For the most part, our current co-op synergy is spinning up the satellite PD office at the Finn School. The networking runs and pulls are complete. Jay was able to donate a unused or expired or older replacement switch from Town Hall in order to provide the network ports that were needed to get that office spun up. The schools donated the access point to the room and the rest of the equipment. We're hoping to have that configured. And then Jay said he was just waiting on getting that PC image. So hopefully we'll have a nice little co-op success there in terms of getting Southborough PD spun up in that building.
I don't think I've heard about that. So it's a satellite police department office co-located with Finn?
In Finn School, correct.
Great. Are they sharing? It sounds like they're on their own little island for network? Are they sharing printer access? No.
None. They've got their own nice little slice of the pie out of that switch.
Okay. And do they have a VPN connection back to the PD, or is this sort of its own?
No, I've been told that they've got their own VPN setup and provider and pipe that they're comfortable with using.
Okay. Awesome. Is that same thing being discussed at any other schools, or just Finn?
I only know of Finn.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments for Ryan? Okay. I think you mentioned last time that by January the budget should be ready. Is that correct for next year?
The budget should be ready and presented by January, correct?
Okay. Possibly maybe at our next MTC meeting in January, we'd love to review the school admin tech related items. All right, last thing on the agenda, town survey status. I think we've already covered it. My goal is to use the few days off I have between 25th and 1st and spend some time finalizing that. And then get it out beginning next year. I confirmed that with Bill from Public Works that he's willing to advertise it again on the DPW sign at transfer station. So any additional advertisements is good. I've been thinking about sticking out Google AdWords. Really is searching for town survey. That's not something you actually Google. So, but yeah. That is all I have on the agenda. Is there anything I missed? Anything you need to discuss? Library, given that Jay's not here, Ryan Donovan is. How's the library doing for tech? And is there anything we should discuss for the library technology?
I wish I was more exciting, but I don't think so. I know Angela was here earlier today, and I was covering for our assistant director's gingerbread house program. So I spent most of the evening picking candy out of the carpet. So to be honest, computers are not even on my radar right now, but
The gingerbread process worked flawlessly. So there was that.
Yeah. We are highlighting in the select board meeting tonight, just in the list of accomplishments, really reviewing this past annual year. One of the things I'm most proud of is launching the revised website, which I talked to you guys about. So that's like first on the list. And then I will say, because I don't think I've let you guys know in this committee, but the security cameras were installed at the library, which was very exciting. So if you guys are on premises and you want me just to I feel like this is a committee that will keep the security tight, right? But I can show you where the cameras were installed. They are like high definition cameras. So like I was picturing something like CCTV, where like you can tell that a person was at the door. Like these are much nicer cameras than I thought. I'll say that. And I think it was kind of exciting for us because if we do need to like kind of work with the police to identify someone, I really think our cameras will help. So hopefully it's preventative and we'll never have to use them for any of that. But I will say I kind of sleep a little bit easier knowing that they're installed and that the staff and the patrons who come in are a lot safer. So I do have a technology update for you, Matt. So there you go.
That's great. Are those inside as well as on the exterior perimeter?
So we only have them inside. So
Okay.
the capital article for these was actually just on the entryways and exits. So it's in the downstairs entryway and exit, and then the upstairs one. So obviously the downstairs one is that gets used about 80% of all the entries and exits are in the downstairs entrance. There was sufficient money to add a third camera, and the trustees and I were particularly concerned about the teen room area, only because that has been a staffing challenge, and the geographic area of the building, because it's a youth services primary function, but it's so far removed from the rest of the building that it's just hard for us to monitor that. So we've installed the monitor in the assistant director's office downstairs. So now if you're the assistant director or another staff member covering children's, you can literally look at the monitor and see if anybody's in the teen room, which has been already, there were a couple kids giving each other piggyback rides the Friday after we installed it, and we were able to get a staff member in there in like 2 or 3 minutes. Our youth services librarian Mariana was on it, and she was in the room like right away, and the piggyback ride stopped. I'll say that. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's great. What is that? I assume that's a local hard drive, local system. All the recording is local. It's not cloud-based. Is that correct?
correct. So to get it cloud-based was going to be significantly more expensive, and I don't think we had that type of money in the capital article. So it is local. The server infrastructure we had before we moved a lot of that over to the public safety building, we still have some local network stuff in our server cage, which is again around the corner from children's. It's kind of where the everyday book sale area is. They were able to put that stuff there, so it was nice because we had an existing place to put what they needed to put in. Originally, they were going to do the monitor right next to the server cage, but since that was in a public area, we thought that was a really bad idea. So I was the one that really pushed it to get it in a staff office. And since my office is like all concrete, it's part of the historic part, the assistant director's office ended up being a better fit. And it's worked out. Like, to be honest, whenever we like install something, it usually takes me weeks and weeks and a very long time to coordinate it. And this was, I think they got everything in the first day. And then we were able to show staff how to use it. And it's one of the easiest things we've ever had to coordinate. And that's a testament to our facilities department and to John Parent helping push this along.
Awesome. Joe, question or comment?
Yeah. Do we have the happy smile you're on camera kind of notices just to CYA for any sort of concerns there?
No, Joe, that's a good point. So we're actually working on some signage for the teen room, and then we're thinking of applying that also to the entrances. So it probably won't say "smile, you're on camera," but it will say something to the effect of this area is being monitored by security cameras, just so that if public, to be honest, we talked a lot more about how the cameras are probably going to help people in general practice better behavior now that they're aware of them. So, again, we didn't have a lot of people who were engaging in bad behavior, but I do have some stories that I won't share here. So, I want to make sure people are aware of it. And then it's not a secret. We've been very public and we've shown people, and a lot of people were in and out the day we were installing them. But I want to make sure that if it's your first time coming in, you know that there is a camera that's monitoring.
Cool.
How did you spec out the camera system? What made you decide? Was it basically a vendor that came in and installed the cameras and the hardware and so forth?
Yeah, so John Parent can answer those questions a little bit better, but we used an existing vendor, Matt. We tied it into the custom alarm system. So again, I think part of the reason this was easier is because we added a lot of additional infrastructure with the water alarm systems that got installed after the flood. So
okay.
like the teen room camera was actually wired into the wall where the water alarm was. So it just worked out that it like kind of was in the perfect place to put a camera. So we weren't planning on that, but this has been a I think I first asked about this when there was a very unfortunate library security incident in Winchester. I think that happened. A patron assaulted another patron, and the person that was assaulted passed away. And so that was in 2017. So that this project, like, it had to go on the capital plan, and then the capital improvement and planning committee was formed. So that, like, this took a while to get off the ground and happen. But you know, I think tying it into an existing infrastructure vendor thing definitely helped make it a lot easier on all of our but I think John looked at multiple vendors. I'm almost positive he did because of the cost.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, any questions for Mr. Donovan?
It's a night. I will remind everybody that if you need a library hotspot for the holidays, we have some available at the library. You just need a valid library card.
Thanks.
It's my one techie
Plug
plug.
the services.
Yeah.
Great. Free data, right? Don't burn through your own mobile plan. Just use the libraries. And no concern, like, they don't charge, it's like unlimited data, I assume, is that right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody who's planning to go to a cabin with no internet connection, you still want Netflix, go to the library.
It
Check it
does
out.
need to be in a T-Mobile service zone, but the
Okay.
map is online. So see, we're doing a full hotspot education here. So they go out for 3 weeks, no renewals.
Good to know.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us, Ryan, and thanks for that update. All right, before we adjourn, let's take a look at our calendars for a January meeting, if that's okay. And when I stick with the theme of a Tuesday evening, how does either the 16th or the 23rd look for people?
Either is fine for me.
Either is good.
Either's fine for me.
Yeah, they're pretty equivalent for me as well.
Ryan Donovan or Ryan Leary, 16th or 23rd. Do you have a preference between the two?
Either one's fine for me.
23rd
works.
might be slightly better, Matt, because Martin Luther King Day is on the 15th. I don't know if that
Okay.
impacts
Okay.
anybody in terms of like long weekends or anything.
Yeah. Okay, let's target the January 23rd at 6:30 p.m. I'll send out an invite. Let's go ahead and adjourn. Given it's a remote meeting, we need to do a motion and second. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Make a note here. That's second. Okay, let's go around the room to vote. Joe?
Yes.
Yash? Angela?
Yes.
Orla?
Aye.
And likewise, aye. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a fantastic set of hallways and stay safe.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you.